You want to build muscle, but when you look in the mirror, something feels off. You're not overweight, but you're not lean either. You're not muscular, you're just stuck in the middle. And that is the skinny fat look. And if you've ever asked yourself, am I doing the right exercises? Why don't I look leaner yet? Or why do I still look soft even though I'm training? Then you're in exactly the right place. Because today I'm going to show you the only 11 exercises you need to fix skinny fat forever. I've been there myself. I know how frustrating it is to waste months, even years, and still look the same. I cut, I bulked, I did endless random workouts, and nothing changed. What finally transformed my body wasn't eating the perfect diet or doing endless hours of cardio. It was learning the principles behind picking the right exercises. And in this video, I'll take you through all 11 exercises for every major body part, but I'll also show you how to structure them into a plan that actually works, the mistakes that keep skinny fat guys stuck no matter how hard they train, and what results you can realistically expect after 8 weeks, 12 weeks and 6 months. So stick with me till the end, because once you see how simple the system is, you'll realize you'll never need to waste another workout again. And by the way, I've made 6 different training splits based on how many days a week you can train, so 1 day or 6. So you can drop these 11 exercises straight into the plan. So I'll link that for free down below. But before we dive into the exercises, here's the truth. There is no perfect exercise, but there are principles that you can use to pick the right ones so you can stop wasting time and finally get results. Principle 1 is stability. And if you're unstable and need to balance, you can't push to failure. And stable positions let you safely train harder. Principle 2 is the length and range. So the best growth happens when the muscle is stretched under load. Therefore, the right exercise needs to challenge you where it actually matters. Principle 3 is enjoyment. If you hate a lift, you're going to eventually quit and you're going to make no progress. And therefore, consistency beats optimal every single time. Principle 4 is safe to failure. Skinny fat guys don't grow because they often don't train close to failure. And safe exercises allow you to finally train hard without snapping your joints up. So if you keep these 4 principles in mind, you'll see exactly why these 11 exercises work and why many other exercises don't. So let's get into the exercises. We're going to build your body from the ground up. So we're going to start with the legs, move on to the abs, go to the arms, then the chest, and then finally the back. So you're going to walk away with a complete system. If you skip calves or bounce half reps, it shows instantly. And a standing calf raise lets you load the calves heavy, stable, and stretch them deep. Strong calves balance your legs and stops your physique from screaming that you skipped leg day. But calves are just a start. If your hamstrings look flat, then your legs will never look complete. Deadlifts look cool, but you can't train them safely to failure. And that's why I prefer a seated leg curl, because it locks you in, it stretches the hamstrings, and it lets you push hard. And bigger hamstrings equals a thicker, more athletic look to your legs instead of just skinny sticks. But once you've built the hamstrings, you can't ignore the other half of the leg, and that is the quads. Most people cut the range of motion short and never load the quads properly, which is why I opt for a leg extension rather than a barbell squat. You want to lock your shin tightly into the pad, and you can even get yoga blocks to give your quads more of a stretch at the bottom of the rep. This is going to build full round quads that really complete the leg, especially once you've built your hamstrings and your calves. But even with strong legs, the skinny fat look sticks if your midsection is weak, and that's where your abs come into play. I trained my abs wrong for years. I used to do endless sit-ups and then try and do planks as well. But this is the thing, you need to train your abs like you would any other muscle. So you need to train them heavy and you need to train them with actual intent. And that's how you build thick, visible abs that actually show once the body fat drops. That's why I like to pick a heavy crunch variation. Now, you can either do this on a decline bench or on a machine or on a cable stack, but the trick is that you want to load them heavy, focusing on quality over quantity of your reps. So now we've got the abs out of the way, we need to get onto the other biggest problem when it comes to that skinny fat look, and it's having skinny arms. So we'll start with the biceps, and often people swing too much and all that does is inflate your own ego. It doesn't actually inflate your biceps to get any bigger. That's why I like to opt for preacher curls, especially with a double dumbbell, because this allows you to keep your elbows locked in place and it kills any momentum that you could have had. But biceps are only 1/3 of the arm. The real thickness comes from the triceps. But here's the thing, Pushdowns alone won't grow them. The seated overhead extension stretches the long head under load, and that's where the most growth for the triceps occurs. But still, arms alone aren't going to fix skinny fat, and that's why we need to move on to your chest. I used to ego lift on the bench all the time and just cheat the range of motion. I wouldn't even come down to my chest, I would just come halfway down, and all I was doing was protecting my own ego from the amount of weight that I could actually lift. If you opt for a machine over a barbell, it lets you go heavy while staying controlled and getting the full stretch on your chest. And that's how you build a thicker chest that fills out your t-shirt instead of just looking flat. But if you neglect your shoulders, you're never going to escape skinny fat because you need to build a wider frame. If you turn your lat raises into shrugs, then it's going to take the load off of the side delt and you're never going to build that wide frame that we're after. That's why I like to do dumbbell raises with my chest supported so it kills any momentum and it allows my side delts to do most of the work. And I opt for dumbbells over a cable just because it's easier to add into your workouts. You can superset it with other exercises and you can surf the rack to pump more volume in. But there's another way to get that wide frame look, and it's through building the thickness of your back. The chest supported row allows you to drive your elbows high and wide with no momentum, and this adds upper back density, but thickness alone isn't enough. You need to get width as well, and that's why we're going to train the lats. A lot of people do pull-ups with bad form and they end up looking like a crossfitter. You want to keep your elbows in front of your body and thinking about driving them down straight towards the floor rather than back towards you. But we need to go on to the final exercise for building that V-taper, and that is the rear delt. Rear delts are commonly neglected, therefore you need to do rear delt cable flies. Now these allow you to get the full range of motion, and like we said before, we want to get into the length and range, and the cable allows you to do this. You can't necessarily do that on a rear pec deck. So now we've talked about the 11 exercises to hit the 11 major body parts, but the thing is, if you don't structure them properly, you're going to stay stuck. That's why we need to talk about the plan. I would personally recommend a 3 to 4 day training split because it works best in terms of consistency. But the truth is that any training split works as long as you stick to the principles and hit the muscles the right way. So a 3 day training split, I would just train full body every other day. And in terms of a 4 day training split, I would just do upper lower. And then with both of these, I would split all 11 exercises evenly among the days that you're going to train. The one thing is that you need to make sure that you hit each muscle twice per week. Then you want to focus on doing about 3 to 4 sets per exercise and 8 to 15 reps per set. And you want to push every single set to failure and track your strength over time. If your weights or reps on each set are progressing, then you're building muscle. Just keep in mind to avoid extremes, so you don't want to be training 7 days a week, but you also don't probably want to be training 1 day a week either, even though you can do that and make decent gains. It's just not the best. And then also don't waste your time doing probably above 20 reps or below 3 reps, because again, you're not going to be able to stay within those principles of training. And if you want help structuring a training plan without the guesswork, then you can grab my free training plans down below. However, even with the right exercises, you can still fail because you might make these mistakes. You might program hop too much, so you switch out exercises or training splits every week, and therefore you never progress. You might avoid training to failure, so you stop 5 reps short of failure, which is not going to be best for muscle growth. And you might get caught into the trap, I know I have, of forcing optimal lifts because TikTok said to do so. So if you avoid these mistakes, you'll finally build muscle and escape skinny fat. But how long is that actually going to take? So after 8 weeks, you're going to notice changes in your chest, arms and shoulders. After 12 weeks, your whole body will start to shift. And after 6 months, if you've trained to failure, progress your lifts and stay consistent, you'll very likely not look skinny fat anymore. So that's the roadmap. These 11 exercises cover every single muscle group, and the split keeps it simple. The principles keep you safe, the mistakes tell you what to avoid, and the timeline shows you where this road leads. If you stick to this, you're going to fix skinny fat forever, but only if you know when to bulk or when to cut. Because the truth is, you can train perfectly and still stay stuck if you mess up your phases. So watch this video next, because it's the last piece that lets you fully complete your transformation and finally escape skinny fat once and for all.